Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SB Patrons video today that I'm making for Jacob as part of their custom monthly music review. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on the screen. It's from an act named Porter Robinson titled Russian Roulette, and we're going to listen through it from start to finish and we're going to hear what we think. Let's do it. Really full sounding mix immediately. Very used to the it's a heavily compressed lead synth. It's pushed, but it does still kind of fit in here. And great use of that gun foley there. It's not just a sort of a sound of a gunshot, it's like as a drum shot, you know? Thought of that. Interesting use of an organ in this part. We'll just sort of soften it a bit. Great emphasis on this line.
Suggests the song is coming to a close. That's the format we're used to. Cliches like this are beautiful, because they reflect us, and we are beautiful. Take, for example, this chord progression. It only became taboo because it was too powerful. That's why you won't forget it. Don't kill yourself, you idiot.
Damn. I'm not very familiar with Porter Robertson's work, but it seems to me they're really putting their heart and soul on it, and they're putting everything out there. I gotta show some love for that. Because this is my review of this track from an actor named Porter Robinson titled Russian Roulette. What do I think this track is about? I think we're just exhausted with the stress of being alive, and we're inundated with all this kind of external bullshit. All these pressures potentially of being successful and how we have to live up to expectations, and then just realizing that, you know, your big moment can be overshadowed by a monkey pissing there in our own mouth. You know what I think? That it's just, everything is equal. Everything is noise. Things just overwhelm you, and you just lose track of what's even real, and you sort of disassociate from reality and just go into this hole where just to feel anything at all, you'd consider pulling that gun out or to end it, you know. And I think at the end, when things get quiet and you get away from the noise, I think that when he mentioned, you know, losing his phone one more time, on face value, that might actually seem like a bad thing to happen, but I actually honestly feel as if phones are just one of the main worst things you can have. I think this is about Porter Robinson realizing that they have reasons to live and things that they want to do. And I think that's powerful, and I'm sure the people who listen to this who may be going through similar experiences will potentially relate to this. And, you know, don't kill yourself, you idiot. Basically kind of communicates exactly that. It's blunt, but sometimes it needs to be. You know, you just realize how much good stuff there is still, and you don't just kill yourself. I'm not going to pretend that Porter Robinson is the only person who's ever spoken about suicide in their music videos or whatever, but it's done in a way which is both very personal to Porter Robinson from the sounds of it, and also in a way where I think it's approachable from people. It's an interesting track. The vocals are well handled. They sound earnest. They're colorful. The melodies there are wonderful and niche really easily with what's going on with the synths, the guitars, bass, drums, and all those kind of elements, the organs, whatever else is going on in the mix. We have a clear understanding of how to frame and sort of tell different parts of a story, different angles there. When things got a bit more sort of intimate in an interlude section, we went down with it. And I don't really think we need to do anything more with that. We expressed ourselves appropriately for the subject matter. We were honest with the listener. And we spoke our truth. The track itself at 6 minutes 28 is quite long, but I feel as if it's quite well fleshed out. You get quite a lot of story in there throughout different verse sections, the various hooks, as well as the extended interlude near the end, and sort of like reminding ourselves of what we value and what we appreciate and the things that we want to continue to do one more time. Just giving it one more chance, right? That really is their journey through it. So in that respect, I think this length kind of makes it's more of an obvious choice than if we simply had a traditional ABAB kind of structure there, and it was more so that the initial story was provided at the start. I like the fact that we go on an adventure with Porter Robinson, even if it's not a particularly happy one. You've just got all these different angles there where the inanity of it, how mundane things can be, and that stuff just suddenly gets very serious. I think the transitions between these sections are great. We managed to have these sugar-coated kind of really sweet-sounding synth, paddy, guitar, bass drum lines. And these main riffs there, and they're catchy and poppy and anthemic, but they don't belie or, you know, betray the seriousness of what's been discussed. It seems like almost like we are trying to find an equilibrium between making it, again, a great song to listen to, whilst also being a platform for us to sort of think about those more intense experiences. The guitar parts are strummed, there's power chords and some interesting sort of like strummed sort of like clear bar and open chordal parts there. The drums, there's lots of different grooves there between the different sort of acoustic and sort of electronic drum kits there with some interesting drum patterns there. Some snare fills going out to the sides there, interesting use of pounding on those fronts going wide for some of those percussive transfers, those fills. The main groove with the kick and snares, that chord note accent a lot of the time is fantastic, but there's also some interesting 8th and 16th note patterns occasionally to sort of like switch things up a little bit. The bass line is typically very sort of loyal to the chord progressions and their root notes. The synth parts, again, we have the fundamental understanding of how music theory and composition works here. We know how to work within our scales and modes and stuff like that, but we also simultaneously, what we do, which I think is quite special, is we do not allow ourselves, there's a bit of kind of edginess and sauciness with the tones of the synths and stuff like that, and they're quite kind of compressed, almost like these feelings are about to burst out of our chest. But it's done the way where like there's kind of waves of it, and there's dynamic range to the composition, and we allow the vocals to have room and not sort of have the synth lead kind of interfere with that. And I like the fact that we're clever about that. We're not trying to oversaturate the track with too many different lead elements in some of the part of the frequency spectrum. There were pads that were sort of more chordal foundation on the sides, resonating in the mids and highs there, and the organish kind of thing we had going on there, almost like we were speaking to God or something like that in that interlude section there, is very kind of somber sounding. It was a contrast to the later half where things got really heavy with the more sort of like electro house-ish kind of drums and bass and synths and oscillations and the LFO going and stuff like that. Again, there were different chapters to this piece, which I thought made it even more effective, because if you'd had the same sort of chord progression, the same kind of aesthetic for the entire time, I don't think you could have had that that range to those different angles, those different chapters. And again, I feel as if whatever we came across, whether we were simply sort of being a bit more sort of current and having a push forward, and things were kind of intense and kind of like almost sort of a bit kind of nervous and anxious because of the feelings we got there with the pull of the instruments there, things coming down to hear the story. Then of course we realized just how close we got to pulling that trigger, so things get quiet. And in the end part, we just kind of backed into kicking it, and we're realizing, hey, no, we are in control of things. This is okay. You're not going to figure this chord progression because I do what I know I'm doing, and you're going to figure it out, and you're going to get through this. And you just have this kind of kinsmanship with Porter Robertson at that point, because we're trying to sort of establish this interconnection, almost trying to break the fourth wall a little bit with the listener there, as if they're aware that maybe other people are struggling like they are, and they're simply trying to reach out and provide an alternative, or at least a reminder of it. The reverbs and sort of like delay effects on the tracks themselves seem kind of wistful, and while it's really well produced, and I'll talk about it just in a moment in the studio production section, I just want to sort of admit, I think it's a great meld of acoustic and digital elements there. I feel like it's sort of like, it sounds sparkly and shiny, and I think that you could have gone very, very dark with this track if you wanted to, but we didn't want to do that. We wanted to kind of keep it more poppy and sort of like fun, and I adore that. I adore that a lot. I feel like it's really well handled, and I think ultimately it's just a situation where the major and minor chords that we had in the progressions there, not really any extension, so we weren't trying to overcomplicate those harmonies, but the attention to detail with lots of different subtextures and sublayers, as well as the main sort of parts I've described as well, were very, very, they were great and really intelligent, and it shows experience on the composer's part. It's just knowing to have bits of some other things and sort of filter work, and to again have those changes in energy and stuff like that, which are great. And it's just studio recording, mixing and mastering, which is fantastic. Like initially, again, I realized that the main synth lead was being pushed a bit in that intro section there. It was very kind of fluffy and cloudy and stuff like that, almost like the thoughts were overwhelming you. And at the end, after you have that kind of commiseration and you have that epiphany that your life has continued to be worth living, or you want to continue living your own life, it's back up and almost changes its sort of exposure there. It's like you're getting pumped up and ready to go and do stuff. And I dig that change there. The lyrics were wonderful. There's clear intent to try and sort of like help people as well as themselves, and it's just also very helpful that the vocals, guitar, bass, synths, drums, everything like that, with the various types of percussion we had, the various pads and leads, sequences, the bass synths we had later on as well. It's just a wonderful meld of that kind of electro synth pop, punk, rock. I don't know how to describe this genre. And I think that they had nailed everything really well in the frequency spectrum, no weird resonant frequencies, nice and white and stereo feel with bits of automation of different instruments around the place, surrounding you in earphones. Music was great. It created an environment for you to sort of listen to it in, and there was dynamic range. There was a bit, I think there might have been a little bit of tuning on the vocals there, but I don't necessarily mind. I think stylistically it makes sense. A bit of reverb on the compression on there as well, just sort of balance stuff out. I know that they can sing, but just, yeah, it did sound like there's a little bit going on, but that's totally fine. It's a stylistic thing. And it was nice to know that pumping to the bus compression limiting was handled. And effectively, this is my review of this track from an actor named Porter Robinson, titled Russian Roulette, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show them some love via their various social medias and their YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever thought of crazy stuff going on in the world. And I will catch you in the next review. Or in the next SP Patrons video, should I say. Spiderhands Out.